So I know that when we originally did the class, we sent out the memo for the class. The class showed us a market update, right? But originally, when I wanted to do this class, I wanted to do it as a business planning 2023, right? Because 2023 is just around the corner. And a lot of the times what happens is that we do our goal settings right at the beginning of the year, okay? And for me, what I've been able to do is I've been able to always do my goal settings usually about 4 to 6 weeks, okay? Because what happens is that you got the holidays, you got all this different stuff going on, right? And this 4 to 6 weeks kind of has a lot of, gives you a little bit extra time, right? To kind of figure out what exactly your purpose is going to be for your business in 2023. I'm going to do a quick market update. Okay, and we can use these 10-15 minutes as a quick market update, and then we're going to dive into the business plan. Everybody that's on the email here that received an email with a link should have gotten a attachment, right? And the attachment looks something, excuse me, like this, right? So let's talk a little bit about the market update. As you guys know, there's huge trends going on as far as what's moving, what's not moving. Now we're kind of been going into this. We have a little more data for you guys so that I can pass that information to you. You know, it's been about 6 months now, about 4 to 6 months when we've had this increase of interest rates, right? The interest rates have, you know, gone up, and it's kind of shifted the market completely, right? So we have enough data now where we can kind of pinpoint and have a better idea of what trends are we going, what things are still moving, what things are sitting, what things are not sitting. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you is it seems like the bread and butter of real estate is still moving, okay? And I mean the bread and butter of real estate, I mean the first-time buyers, right? The necessity clients, the people that are been on the fence, right? And they're not afraid to jump into a property right now, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean as far as price points, okay? Because everything that we do is based on price points, okay? So what we've noticed is the price points that are continuing to move are the ones that are entry level. Now, entry level can be different depending on your territory that you work in, right? Some people work in, let's say, Orange County. Some people work in, let's say, San Bernardino County. Two different price points, right? Two different, completely different price points, probably around $100,000 to $150,000 difference of what the entry level is at. But what I'm trying to get to and trying to pass this information over to you is that the entry level is the one that's still moving, right? The entry level. So you got to figure out what your entry level of your business is, okay? And what I would advise you is focus on that, okay? Because what's happening right now is that everything happens in trends, okay? And real estate's one big cycle. The way I look at it, it's one big cycle. So let's just go back and kind of think about what happened in the last 2 years, right? And why the business was flowing so well, right? So if we go back and right before COVID hit, right, we already saw some type of trends that show a declining market, right? And then COVID hit, right? And then all of a sudden it just put like like everybody just hit the brakes, like you're at the 405 and you just hit the traffic, right? And then what happened is that all of a sudden, boom, it exploded, and we had this huge amount of clients that wanted to get into either refinancing, purchasing, or just get themselves into investments or whatever it was. Then we had this huge inflation, right? Prices soared probably about 25 to 30%. Now we're starting to see that those 25 to 30% coming back to reality, right? So this is not my first rodeo. I've kind of mentioned that to you guys. We're gonna see that. We're gonna give back all that COVID money that was out there, right? And then now we're starting to figure out who the real players are, right? Who are the buyers and the sellers that are willing to, you know, sell in today's market. So what I've noticed is that the MLS, there's still a lot of properties out there. If you look at the properties, and we're continuing to grow we're continuing to grow as far as our inventory. Okay, now this is kind of like a catch-22 there. Yes, we have more properties that we've had in the last 6 months to a year or even 2 years, but there's a lot of overpriced properties. Okay. So realistically, what I meant was like, we got to find out who the real players are, right? Sellers and buyers. There's just a small amount of people that are actually realistically looking to buy and looking to sell. And if you look at the overall picture of the MLS, there's a lot of properties sitting on the market for 40, 60, 100, 120 days, even longer than that. Okay, those are what I call unrealistic sellers, right? Unrealistic sellers. They're still thinking like I follow the area of Dana Point quite well. There's this one particular listing that comes into mind. I actually met the sellers because I was very interested in this particular property. That property almost sold about 1.5 years ago for 1.9, right? I think the offer that was submitted, because I chatted with her, was 1.825 or something like that. So she was going to take a little bit of a haircut on the deal. Not very much, but the property is now sat on the market for well over 200 days, and it's still 1.9. She's not going to get 1.9. I hate to break it to her. So this is what I mean. These are properties that are in the MLS, right, as of right now, but yet they're not real players, right? They're just out there like causing fluff, right? When you are looking at the real players, what's happening is if you price a property correctly, it's moving, okay? And that's the hard part that a lot of the agents are, I feel that they're not getting the right information out to the clients, right? Because for the last 6 months, there's this fluff or confusion or not a clear path of what the actual market price is on a particular listing. So I'm gonna kind of give you a scenario, right? Let's say you take a listing, it's like, let's just say right here in our backyard, Rancho Cucamonga, right? So what you do is you obviously comp it out. And the problem is that when we're comping things out, there is numbers out there that represent what we can sell the property for. And I see that's the biggest mistake that I see, is that we're looking at these comps, right? We're looking at, hey, we got a model match that sold, let's say in April, right? Or June, right? That's not too far. We can still use those comps. They're still within their appraisal condition, right? But what we fail to identify is that the market has completely shifted, right? From April to even June, right? So a lot of the times what's happening is we're running to these comps, you know, we're seeing that hey, there's proof that we can actually sell this property for this dollar amount, right? And that's not just us, it's the sellers. The sellers are looking at it, they're like, well, my neighbor sold his house, you know, just 4 months ago, 3 months ago, and he got this and he got that. But unfortunately, the market has completely shifted in the last 6 months. So you can't get data from 6 months, you can't get data from even 4 months. You got to get up-to-date data, right? So you got to understand, like, you got to do your homework and you got to figure out, and even go more than a mile, just figure out where the pulse is at in that particular property. Okay, because there is a pulse, but it doesn't mean it was 6 months ago. So I'm looking at the MLS, and I'm still looking at a lot of properties coming into the market with a wishful thinking, like we can get the pricing that we're selling. And then I get to see the real properties that are priced out correctly, right? And those are moving. I see them moving anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks, and that's a normal market. Okay, so those are kind of tells to kind of give you a better idea of where you are with the market condition on your particular property. Back to the hot market. If you think about it, I mentioned that there's trends, there's cycles, right? So what's happening right now is that we don't have a full cycle, right? We pump the brakes and really, like, it's hurting the higher end pricing, okay? Because what happens in our general cycle, the way it works in a perfect world, is that you have a first-time buyer buying a home that someone's lived there for 3 to 5 years, which they have enough equity for them. They can go ahead and buy a move-up property or a dream home they're buying something bigger, and then those people that have that particular home maybe want to downsize, or maybe they want to get their dream home, like $1 million home. So then it kind of trickles back and it makes one big circle, right? That's why contingent sales were like the hot topic the last 3 years, right? Everything that we kind of sold was a contingent sale, or at least 60% or 70% of our transactions were contingent sales. So now what I've noticed is that even though there is still contingent sales, right, it's more like a one and done, right? It's a one and done. Either investors are getting their hands on these properties and they're fixing them nicely and pricing them correctly, right? And then they're getting that property sold, but guess what? That money goes directly back into the investor pocket, and he goes buys another property. So the cycle is hurting a little bit, right? Until our sellers, right, and us as agents, right, deliver the right information to our clients and give them the correct price, then we're going to start to see more of a cycle effect, right? More of a cycle effect. Because what's happening is the trends are too early right now, so a lot of agents are missing. If you go and do studies on the MLS, and let's just throw a number of 100 properties on the MLS right now, I guarantee you that about 60% of them, or maybe 40 to 60% around that neighborhood, they're overpriced, okay? So you can see how many of the agents are missing what today's market condition is. So that's what's happening, and that's what's bogging down the market, and it's not allowing that cycle that we need for us to have a consistent business. A couple of trends that I noticed, like I mentioned, is a lot of first-time buyers are now coming off, right? Because if you think about it, do the math, right? Interest rate went up from, let's say, 4.5% to, you know, what is right now, let's just call it 7%, right? So it went up pretty drastically, right? If you bought a house, just to give you an idea, and I didn't do numbers, these are numbers off the top of my head. If you bought a house for, let's say, $500,000, right now, at a loan of 7%, you're gonna probably pay close to $3,800 off the top of my head. I got Karina in there. Maybe you can run those numbers for me when you get a minute. But let's just throw that out there: $3,800 versus versus a year ago. That same property was probably, your payment was roughly about $2,400, right? So drastically in about 6 months, the payment went up maybe by $1,100, somewhere around that neighborhood. Okay, and so what's happened, right? Now we're starting to see the market decline, right? We're starting to give that COVID money back, which is roughly 20-25%. So that same property that was 500, 600, you take about 20-25%, let's just say 500. Now that property is down 100 grand now, or realistically is down 100 grand. We're not seeing it in the MLS. Why? Because there's 60% of our inventory that's still, you know, pricing those same homes for, you know, $490, $499, $489, $479, right? And they're just sitting on the market for 60 days, 90 days, and they're kind of hoping that, hey, that property will sell. But the realistic number is probably rough around 450, somewhere around there. And then you're starting to see big price reductions, right? It was 10 grand, you know, now it's 25 grand. You're seeing 50 grand, you're seeing 100 grand, you're seeing, you know, on the bigger properties, you're seeing these huge numbers, right? These are agents that missed it that much, right? When you see it 50 grand, that means the agent missed the communication factor between him and the seller to let him know, hey, the realistic price is this, right? And it ends up costing the client a lot more, okay? I always tell my agents, I always tell people, it's like, we don't sell homes, right? The homes are gonna sell themselves. It is our job to give the correct information to our clients. And the market condition is the correct information. Now, it's been tricky, so I'm not pointing fingers. It's been very tricky the last 6 months because there's a lot of fool's gold out there. So it's your job to make sure that you identify where the fool's gold is at and get rid of that, right? And let's get the real players in. Let's get the real buyers in. Let's get the real sellers in, right? So that we can start to get our market back to a normal condition. Now, overall, what I'm looking at is probably market condition. I see it getting better here in the next 6 months to a year. And why do I say that? I have no hard facts, but look, I've been doing this for a very long time. And what happens during the election year, I mean, and I could be wrong, right? Usually things start to look better, right? Like gas prices go down, maybe inflation gets a little better, interest rates gets a little better. It's just kind of, again, we're gonna put the best, face for this re-election year. Okay, and that's kind of the trend that I've noticed. And again, it's not something that it's common facts, but I've been, I've been through a couple of these, and I just noticed that the election year, things are magically a little better. The interest rate's a little better, the gas price is a little better, inflation is a little better, right? So 2023, I see it, having a little bit of a rebound year for us, where we're going to see maybe interest rate climb back down. And I think that's where they're going to stay. And I've talked to a lot of lenders, a lot of friends and that are in the mortgage industry. And we feel like the interest rates will come back down and be maybe around the 5.5. And I think that's where we're going to be playing at here for the future. It's very important for us to capitalize on 2023. It's very important that we capitalize here in the next 12, 13 months, right? Because like I mentioned, I feel like 2023 is going to be a rebound year. However, I do fear that 2024 could be a year of a shift. And then we can either go back to the 2022 or we can continue on our 2023 trends. And what's gonna tell us is basically the election, right? Where are we gonna go with there? Are we gonna have the same philosophies or are we gonna have different philosophies? Now, I always say, look, don't depend on the government to make things better for you or worse for you or whatever it is, right? We still control 90%, 95% of our outcome. But let's just stick to 2023 because that's right in front of us, right? So everybody should have a business planning outlet or a booklet. So I'm gonna go over it with you and we're just gonna go through what I call your business culture, okay? If you guys go on the first page, look something like this. So hopefully you guys are sitting down at a desk where you can actually capitalize on some of these notes and ideas that I'm going to share with you guys. So right off the top, I have a rating of 1 through 5. So before we even dive in, because I want to kind of catch you guys on where you're at with this, okay? So right off the top, your vision, right? And we're talking about business culture. So I'm going to give you guys a quick example of what I think of business culture is with other businesses, right? So one of the main examples that I use is In-N-Out, right? Because their business culture and their vision is very clear, right? They want to make the best hamburger and they want to make it for the best price, right? So if you were to go to In-N-Out and you wanted a chicken burger, it's very clear that they're going to send you somewhere else, right? Because they don't sell chicken burgers. They specialize on one thing and one thing only. So what is your vision, right? What is your vision? What do you specialize? What are you committed? So give me a rating on it on a scale of 1 through 5, 5 being the highest, right? 5 being the top level, right? You know exactly what you're going for. You know what your business looks like. You're striving every day to accomplish your goals, right? Maybe a 1 is like you're wishy-washy. You're like, hey, I'm going to do some open houses. Maybe I'll follow up with my clients. Maybe I don't. Obviously you don't have a clear vision of what your business should look like, right? So give me a rating. You don't have to tell me what it is, but you have to be true to yourself. So figure it out because there's always improvement, right? So if we're a 4, we can be a 5. If we're a 1, we can definitely be a 2 and a 3 and a 4. If you're a 5, then maybe we got to figure out how can we be a better 5, right? How can we be above and beyond? So start out with that, and then let's talk a little bit about your vision. So your vision should be the goal that defines you, where the business is going, right? Your vision statement should be created by energy, focus, and the purpose of your organization. So organization meaning you, right? You're all independent contractors. We're not talking, unless you're a part of a big team or a part of a team where you have 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, and we do have some teams here for Dynasty. In your notes, I want you to really focus right, on what are you committed to in 2023, right, as far as your business culture. So I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to go ahead and write down what you're committed to, right, what your vision is. What do you entail? Your vision, right? Your vision is basically like, what do you see in 2023, right? What are you committed to? How many transactions are you committed to put in, right? So it's always comes down to a numbers game. Always comes down to one of the key factors about business is it's always a numbers game at the end of the day, right? It's always a numbers game. How many phone calls do I make? How many contacts do I make? How many people do I sit down in front of, right? So what does your vision look like for 2023, right? And I want you to put some stuff down, okay? And because, to be quite honest with you, the worst thing you can do is just let time go by, right? So the worst thing you can do is just think like, well, 2023, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to show up to the office, I'm going to put on my shirt, I'm going to get on the phones, and I'm going to, just get after it, right? And even though you might have the right mentality, right mentality, right? What happens is when we don't have the clear picture of our vision, we get distractions. And a lot of the times you don't even notice those distractions. They're built in, right? And I'm talking about big distractions, right? Like, what's a big distraction? So let's just think about you're driving a car, right? And let's say you're going down the 10 freeway, right? And then someone cuts you off, right? That's a little distraction, right? Well, a big distraction is a freaking one of the big 18-wheelers, jackknifes in front of you. That's a big distraction, okay? But what happens is we notice those, right? It catches our attention, your shirt, freaking your heart jumps out of your shirt. But when you have these little distractions in a 12-month span, like in 2023, what happens is that we don't notice the little distractions, okay? So it's important for us to have a vision, right, of what our business looks like, right, in a statement. So go ahead and write down what you guys want to achieve, how many transactions you want to do. And then what I would advise you guys to also do is figure out what systems, right, at the bottom, what systems are you going to have in play, right? And systems doesn't necessarily have to be like an online tool, or it doesn't have to be something that you purchase, or a notebook or something like that. I mean, systems are things that you're committed to, right? Because at the end of the day, this business that we're in, this real estate business, is still a people business, right? And like I mentioned to you, it's all a numbers game, right? So your system can be very simple, right? It could be very simple. It could be something like, hey, I'm committed to follow up with my clients. I'm committed to send some emails. I'm committed to send some postcards. I'm committed to reach out to more people on social media. So those are all systems, right, that go hand in hand with your vision, right? So you got to understand, when you are developing a business culture, you not only have to have the right vision, you also have to have the right systems. The first one is your vision, right? The second one is your mission, right? And there's a different factor when it comes to your mission, right? Because what it comes down to, a lot of the times when I meet a lot of realtors, especially some of the younger ones, they get into this business because they think that they can make a lot of money. Okay, let's just be real. Okay, they pull up and they see people like other realtors, and maybe they have a nice car, or they have dress nice, or they're doing well, and they just figure out like, hey, what are you doing? How are you able to have this career? How are you able to accomplish some of these financial goals, right? And what happens is that, that's kind of like a way to look at it, right? But that's kind of like running your car in empty, okay? Because that's going to get you to a certain spot. It's not going to get you to where you want to be, right? And this mission, right? Our mission as realtors, right? Our mission as investors, our mission as entrepreneurs, right? Because we're all entrepreneurs. Because what we are, this business, we're risk takers, right? Because nobody's getting a paycheck at the first of the month. Nobody's getting a paycheck at the 15th of the month. right? We eat when we kill, right? Meaning like we're kind of like we're kind of in that nature, right? So what is our mission, right? What is our mission? What are we committed to, right? And also the most important thing is, what are we trying to do? Like, who are we trying to help, right? How many clients are you going to try to help move into their home? How many loans are you going to want to commit to help your clients out? Because at the end of the day, if you think about it more as a service, right? As a service, like we're here for a purpose, right? We are important in this field where we're in this real estate business, right? If you think about it as that way, it just makes a lot more fun, right? Because materialistic things are nice, and don't get me wrong, everybody here probably would love to drive a nice car and have fancy houses and stuff. But what's going to happen is just not enough drive. Okay, it's just not enough drive, right? So we got to have a little bit of a balance. So in this part of our business culture, what is our mission, right? How many clients, how are we going to serve to our clients? How are we going to be able to help them? How many keys are we going to deliver, right? And again, what systems are we using to keeping our mission, right? Our mission, right, going? Because like I mentioned earlier, doing a 12-month span, there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of distractions, okay? So what are we putting in play, right? So if you have a significant other, right? Maybe you guys work together, maybe you don't, maybe you have your real estate career, maybe they have a different career, right? What are we sharing here? Like, are you using them to also help you out? One of the biggest things that I like to do when I set myself goals and I set myself things that I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm seeing this stuff on a daily basis. Okay, I want to see them every day. One of the biggest mistakes that we do is we take the time and we do a class, we do a seminar, we just take a little bit, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe we pay to a Vegas seminar and stuff. We commit to that, the hour and a half to 2 hours, and then all of a sudden we just write all these visions, we have all these missions, and then as soon as the class is over, we put it away and we put it in the back of the car or we put it in our desk and we never see it again, right? And we wonder what happened to 2023. One of the biggest things that I can tell you is that seeing things on a day-to-day basis is gonna keep your mission a lot easier, okay? So if you have a vision board, vision boards work good. But a lot of the times what happens is you create this vision board, so a nice little pamphlet, you take the time, you hang out with the girls, with the guys, you put your stuff in there, and then once that class is over, that vision board goes to the left and then you'll never see it. So I like to put my stuff right where I brush my teeth, right in my mirrors. I used to have them all the time there. And then I just put them in there, and then I am constantly seeing like what I gotta be doing on a day-to-day basis, okay? Because in this business, it's all about just doing the same thing, doing the fundamentals every day. Whether it's 85 degrees in perfect weather, or it's 65 degrees and rainy, okay? There's a reason why, I don't know if you guys ever driven in a car and it's raining and it's cold and you're driving by and you see there's one person and it's like running on the street, right? And then you're like, it doesn't matter whether it's raining or it's sunny, they're committed to their fitness, right? They're committed to their passion, right? So that's what I'm trying to get to. You gotta be committed to what you're trying to do, and you gotta be consistent. We're all in the sales business, believe it or not. We're all in the sales business. I mentioned to you earlier that we don't sell houses, right? Houses sell themselves, but we are selling ourselves, right? We're always selling us, right? So it's very important for us to continue to grow, right? That we stay sharp, right? We stay committed, right? That we get better and better. I can give you kind of like a quick example, and before I forget, let me go back and don't forget to rate yourself on the 1 through 5 on the mission, okay? And then also do the same thing here on your business growth, okay? So we're gonna do that on every page. So just in case I forget, just as soon as we flip to the next page, just go ahead and do that, 1 through 5. it gives you an idea, and maybe when we do this class again next year, you'll see what your growth was or what you still need to work on. So sales, back to sales, right? Sales are, they're huge for us, right? Even though we don't sell directly, right, to maybe potential clients, because we're kind of selling ourselves, right? I'm gonna give you an idea of how to create what I call the wheel of sales, right? Because a lot of the times when we get into this business, we're naturally salespeople, okay? Let's just be real. 90% of us are naturally salespeople. We love selling. That's why we get into this business. If you're not a real salesperson, this is probably not the best business for you. And let me just kind of back it up a little bit and kind of give you an idea of what your business wheel should look like, right? First, you got to identify, right, your suspects, right? These are going to be people that you are talking to on a daily basis, or you're meeting with on a daily basis. I was talking about the sales part, right? So we got to be able to identify who our suspects are. And I think a lot of times what happens is that we fail to identify the suspect. Meaning, like, I'll give you one scenario. You get a phone call, right? And the guy's like, hey, I noticed your sign on the property, or I noticed you were interested in, or you had a property for sale, or you called me like 6 weeks ago, I got your voicemail, whatever it is, right? And then all of a sudden they call you back, or you get a phone call, and all of a sudden you just go like, hey, this is a potential lead, right? I'm gonna freaking make a sale here, right? And you just kind of start just pitching this potential client, okay? A lot of times that happens because we fail to identify who our suspects are, right? So what I like to do is have a qualification, right? Like qualification list. And that's the next part, right? How do you define a prospect, right? Right? And when does the prospect become an opportunity, right? And it goes back to the same saying, like in and out guys, right? They know exactly who are their suspects and when it becomes an opportunity, right? Because when you walk in there, right, they know what they do, right? And a lot of the times what happens in our business, nobody's telling us like, hey, this is who you work with, right? You're like, I'd just rather work with people that want to work with me. But you need to have a qualification, right? People that fit your qualification to work with you. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, it could be something completely different. Like, for example, you can be a lender, right? And you can be a commercial guy. So there's different type of qualifications. But back to the wheel of sales, what I was telling you is that you gotta make sure that you identify your clients before they become an opportunity, right? That's when we actually start selling, right? That's when you gotta ask the hard questions. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions right away. Don't be afraid to tell your client, this is what it takes to work with me. Okay, this is, because your time is valuable. Okay, so don't be afraid to put it on the line from the very beginning, right? Because ultimately you're gonna have to have those conversations regardless. So when I do business, I like to get those things out of the way first. I want to make sure that he's a qualified buyer. I want to make sure that he's thinking like the way that the market is right now, right? He's not thinking about the way that the market was 6 months ago or 8 months ago or 6 months, So I want to make sure that they fit these check marks, right? Before I start selling to them, right? Like introducing my services to them, what I can bring to the table. And I feel like a lot of the younger agents, or a lot of the agents in general, they don't go through those check boxes, right? So it's very important for you guys to have a system, a sales system, okay? And then I would also add, what are you guys also doing as far as exercising, like keeping your sales skills at the highest level, right? Because ultimately what happens is we have to be at our sharpest point, okay? And whether we're selling from a peak, right? Or we're selling from our desk or wherever we're selling, we got to understand that for us to be at our best, we constantly have to be working on our craft. Okay, so working on our craft can be script. It can be understanding your market a little bit better, right? Practicing role play, right? Before you're gonna jump in the phone, practice your role play. Understand, like, hey, you know what? You only get one chance. If you come across a question and you answer that question incorrectly, or you answered it without certainty, that client is gone. You can kiss that client goodbye. So it's so important for us to make sure that we're always playing at our peak. Okay, we're always playing at the highest level. We're always playing, we're doing the things that are gonna maximize our ability to convert these sales. Marketing is one of the biggest things for us right now, since we are now in this social media platform, right? Social media platform has been here. It's been here for the last 10 years. The last 5 years, people have really dove in on them. They've created businesses. They've been able to make a good living doing them. So where are we at with the marketing? So rate yourself on 1 through 5. And this is one of the ones that I always get a lot of wishful thinking. Like I always hear, like a lot of the realtors, not only our realtors, but overall in general, they feel like, hey, I could be better. I should be doing more. I want to do more videos. I want to do this. I want to do that. But here's a chance for you to write down, what are you willing to commit for your marketing? Okay, because once again, like wishful thinking, it's only going to get you nowhere, to be quite honest with you. You got to make sure that what you're committed to, it gets done on a day-to-day basis, right? You're committed to. And the biggest thing that I can tell you about the social media marketing, right? It's going to make your life a lot easier, okay? Because what happens is, let's say right now I'm recording this class, right? And I'm going to put this class, I'm going to do the best I can for you guys to deliver on this class, right? But once I'm done from this class, I'm going to move on. I'm going to do something different, right? Me recording this class, and I can actually put this on a different platform, right? And I'm continuing to deliver for other realtors that maybe are not attending right now. Okay, maybe they were working, or maybe they had an appointment, or whatever it is. That's what I'm talking to you about when it becomes your marketing, when you are dedicated to market in these social media platforms. You continue to work, even though you're doing something different, right? You dedicate time to do videos, you dedicate time to create posts, good posts, you dedicate time for your stories. Those things stay in the air, right? So that means you are continuing to work, right? Whether you're having dinner with the wife and kids, or you are at the office, your client might be looking at your profile and they click on a video. Guess what? All of a sudden you're working. Okay, so that's what I love about it, is that it allows you to not only market yourself the way that you want to market yourself, right? You have an opportunity to have a vision and understand, like, hey, these are the clients that I want to reach out. This is the information I want to pass on. This are the things that I want to start striving for, right? Because nobody tells you, like, hey, you got to do this, or you got to do it this way. There's so many different ways that you can conduct your marketing business, right? What happens a lot of the times is that we just don't get things done, right? We have different ideas, but we don't deliver on those ideas. So what I'm encouraging you guys to do is to have 3 to 5 ideas, okay, of how you're going to market yourself. Systems are very easy. They're all free, and you got TikTok, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got YouTube, Twitter. So those are going to be the systems that you're going to be implementing your videos, your postings, your stories on a daily basis. If you're a novice and you want to just kind of start out, I would recommend that you at least post 3 to 5 times a week. If you want to be a medium player, you want to have some leads coming in through your source of your social media platform, you got to be in the north of 15 to 20, meaning like 10 to 15 to 20 at a very minimum on a weekly basis, right? If you want to be a rock star and you want to just dedicate your whole business to just be online, you got to be north of that. You got to be closer to 25 to 50. Okay, so basically, you're going to dedicate a lot of your time on putting content out there, right? You're going to be dedicating a lot of time on putting videos and so on. So it depends where you want to be. what I would advise you is to start with the bare minimum and see where it goes, and then ramp it up, right? And then you go to medium, then you can go ultimately the highest level. Okay, the good news is that mostly it's free, right? So it's not costing you a lot of money to kind of play, right? But you can have all this stuff at your fingertips. You can do it. And the beautiful thing about it is, like, think about this: while you are, out having dinner, you are still working. Your videos are still being out there. They're still being watched. They're available for your customers, right? So what better way to, what I call, clone yourself, right? All of a sudden you can be having dinner and you can be selling somebody on a new product that you're trying to pitch. Okay, so this is what I call cloning yourself, actually applying yourself through the internet. So it's worked out for me. I'm advising you to jump all in on this. It doesn't cost very much money. You could start buying ads and things like that, but if you haven't done the work, I wouldn't advise you to do that. I would advise you to put the work in, get your profile, jump on it, and then as you build it, you see what's working, then you can add a little bit of a budget on it and generate some leads that way. Okay. All right. Branding. We talked a little bit about branding. It goes hand in hand with the marketing. Okay. So it goes hand in hand with the marketing. So when you say branding, you see our beautiful Dynasty logo in the back. That's branding. Every time you see a post, you'll see me throw my brand in there. It spins around, and if you see a Nike sign, it says swoosh on it right away. Think Nike, you already see it. You already know Nike. You see the M's, it's McDonald's, and so on and on and on. So what I would advise you, if on branding, you got to think long term. You got to think long term. You got to think visual. You got to think, like, what is my branding going to look like? It could be different colors. Some people love colors, right? I have a friend of mine. She's been in the business for 15 years. She uses this beautiful teal color with all her marketing, right? And it's just a part of branding. She does, I'm sure she strategizes on it, but it's it's the different colors, the different way that you want to start branding yourself. And branding takes time. Okay, it's not like a 6-month process. This is something that, unless you're willing to commit a ridiculous amount of money, right? This takes time. So this is something that you want to do to have a certain look, right? With your marketing, they go hand in hand, but it actually starts leaving an imprint, right? It starts leaving an impression with your client, so that later on, when you show up to an appointment or you show up to a meeting, they already know who you are. They already know. They've already done the work for you. So on a scale of 1 through 5, rate yourself on your branding. What your vision is, what you want it to be. You gotta think business. If you're gonna do a business meeting, you gotta do it from all different levels. Okay? You gotta do it from all different levels. And don't forget the fun stuff, guys. Don't forget the fun stuff. It's not all about work. It's not about just like, I'm gonna commit to doing 50 transactions a year. Trust me, I've done 50, 60, 70, 100, 70 transactions in 1 year. There's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time and effort and into it. You get paid, rewarded, yes. So what I'm advising you also to put in there the good stuff, right? What are you trying to get? Are you trying to get into a home? Are you trying to keep it to a bigger home? Are you wanting to get into like a vacation? Where do you want a vacation? These are the stuff that you can have, right? Remember, we talked about the balance, right? It's not just all workload. You got to be able to enjoy some of the, enjoy your hard work. So don't forget to put that stuff in there. Whether it's a trip to Jamaica, or maybe you want to see Europe, or you just want to maybe hang out in Hawaii, it's always good just to kind of refresh, right? Just to get, finish your work. And the beautiful thing about it is with your branding and your marketing, even though you're in Hawaii and having the pina colada, in Mexico, or wherever you're at, hey, your branding's still working, your marketing is still working. So you can have both. You can have the best of both worlds. Okay, but I want you to put the fun stuff in there too. Okay, because we gotta have fun. We gotta have fun. We gotta play hard. We gotta have fun. That's the way we do it. That's why we're entrepreneurs, right? We're taking all the risks. We gotta have all the reward. There's no fun of just taking all the risks and having no reward. We gotta have the risk and the reward, not only financially, but also for ourselves, right? Whether it's fitness, whether it's goals, places we want to live, check out, things you want to do with maybe your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, family. So we are looking at the last page, and this is one of the biggest ones. And this is what we're talking about is calendar and schedule, right? Calendar and schedule, and right, and it goes back to our mission, right? But this is another tick that we're going to add, right? And what I like to do is make sure that your whatever you're using as far as your calendar, right, is something that you can see almost all the time, right? With nowadays, your calendar has become a lot easier because a lot of you have it on your phone, right? And you can program it, whether you're meeting with a client or whether you got it through your social media platform or whether you got to go to the gym at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. But here's another thing that I'll share with you. Whatever this is your business plan, okay? It has to fit what works best for you, okay? So some people say like, well, I gotta get up at 5 so that I can go to the gym by 6. I gotta be at the office by 8, and I'm gonna be from there for 8. You know, that's all fine and dandy. It might work for a lot of people. It might not work for so many people. You gotta find out what works for you, okay? You gotta find out what fits you the best, right? And you gotta put that and you gotta commit to that, okay? Now, at the very beginning, maybe you wanna learn from somebody, right? And figure out what's working for them, right? But as you get better, ultimately, you're gonna find out what works best for you, right? So back to what I was talking to you about your calendar, make sure we have a nice balance, right? We're gonna commit to our work. We also need to commit to our fitness, guys, because think about it. If you have all the money in the world and you don't have your health, you're not gonna be a very happy person, okay? So when it comes down to a nice balance, you gotta think about your fitness. You gotta think about your finances. You know, you also gotta think about your family. You also gotta think about yourself, you know. So there's this wheel that makes things go right, okay? If you have a lot of fitness, but you don't have a very good financial, you know, you're not making enough income, it's not gonna go very well, right? You're gonna be fit, but you're gonna be broke, right? So you wanna be able to have all these things, and you wanna be able to have them. If I was to put a wheel, right, you wanna be able to have them all very similar, right? Or all at a wheel where you can travel, right, without having these huge bumps, right? Because if my fitness is good, right, and my finances is good, right, but my family is no good because I work so hard and I don't have any time to spend with my kids, my family, then what's going to happen is you're going to have a bump on the road there, right? And what I'm trying to tell you is you can do it right. You can have a nice wheel where you can keep on going and it's not a whole lot of bumps in the road. Maybe you have 1 or 2, you smooth those things out, maybe you have a nice flow, and you can continue to grow your business in 2023 to make it the best. So, calendars are important, not only for our clients, but also for ourselves, our fitness, our health, because like I mentioned, I keep repeating myself, that's also very, very important. Keeps your energy up. So, and what I mean, look, you don't need to go to the gym and, you know, break your back and power lift and do all this stuff. I mean, it's as simple as just getting out. Right now, maybe going to jog, maybe going to walk, but commit. You know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, that's kind of what you need, depending where you want to be. Again, if you want to be super fit, then maybe you do an hour and a half. If you want to be just maintain, you maybe do a half an hour, maybe you do an hour. You got to have it. You got to have it. I'm telling you right now, fitness has to be part of your business plan as well, because ultimately it's us. You know, we depend on us. Entrepreneurs, we depend on us to make it happen. So if we don't have the energy, we don't have the endurance, it's just going to be very hard to maintain it for 12 months, let alone 24 months, let alone 5 years, 10 years, whatever your career may bring to the table. Okay, guys, I'm going to open it up for some Q&As. There's a couple other pages in there that I mentioned to you guys as far as what you got, you know, some of the good stuff. You can put on the 10 and 10 right there. And then you could also rate your average, right, on that one as well. Okay, and then the most important thing, to be quite honest, is once you go through the business plan, is to make sure that you hold yourself accountable. If you want to send that over to me, okay, I will go ahead and review it, give you guys some pointers, but I think maybe you can improve yourself, and I can hold you accountable, right? So we're gonna have a meeting here. Let's talk. The next month, right? And then I'll be able to go through the stuff. We can kind of go back and forth, help you out on certain things that you may need help on, things like that. So understand that just having those goals and having those ideas and having that vision, right, it's not enough. You have to act. You have to continue to act. You have to continue to perform. You have to continue to push yourself to strive, right? Because a lot of the times we have this information, it's all in our head. We have these ideas, we have, these things, but we fail to act, right? We fail to act, right? Because the risk factor comes in versus the rejection, right? And I'm here to tell you guys, look, this business is all about rejection, right? It's all about rejection. If you didn't get your rejected 10, 15 times every day, you didn't do your job. And it's plain and simple. And unfortunately, that's the business model, right? I can see Edmund here. He probably gets on the phone. I always see him here. He's on the phone every night. I'm sure he gets rejected at least 10, 15 times a night, right? So probably right around 15, 20, he's probably like, okay, I already did my job. I called enough people. I got hung up a bunch of times. Now I can go home because I know I did what I had to do. So you got to deal with that. I'm also going to say, look, right now where the business is at, you got to have this golden hour. Okay, you got to have this golden hour. I don't know what your golden hour is. Okay, we used to call it dialing for dollars back in the day, right? But you got to figure out where your money makers at. Okay, where are you going to make those sales, right? It could be from you. It could be from like 4 to 6. It can be from 5 to 7, depending where you're at. Your business better than anybody. You got to have those golden hours, and that's when you got to be at your peak. Okay, that's when you got to be at your best, and that's when you got to make sure that you're consistent. Okay, so figure out what that is. Don't take no for an answer, and then I'll open up for some questions, guys. So I will take some questions now. Got some more people coming in. So I muted most of you. I muted all of you actually. So if you want to ask a question, I'll stick around for a little bit longer. We're right about an hour right now, so I promised you guys that I was going to be done in about an hour. I have delivered for you, and I got you in and out in an hour. Remember that this stuff, it's going to be recorded, so if you need to go back and check it out, that's also available for you. Also want to thank you guys for 2022. It's been a great year for us. Obviously we had have some bumps in the road, but that's part of the business. You got to understand that this business sometimes is easy, sometimes it's not easy. You got to accept it like you chose it. So I'm here to just say thank you for all your hard work. Continue to strive hard. Let's make 2023 a better year for everybody. And Dynasty has been a passion of mine. It'll continue to be a passion. So again, I just want to say again, thank you for all your hard work, and let's service our clients. Let's do better. Let's get some more of these guys into their homes. Especially right now, I feel there's a good opportunity for these first-time buyers to get into these homes right now, So it'd be a great way to help a lot of people out, or maybe get these sellers, the money that they wanted to, right? There's still a lot of equity on the table. So again, thank you guys for all your hard work. If you guys got questions, I'll stick around for a little bit. If you guys got to go, that's basically the class, and I appreciate you guys' time. So I'll stick around for a couple more minutes. If you guys have any questions, it doesn't have to be about this general meeting. If you got any questions regarding real estate, I'll stick around for that.
Christian,
Yes.
Good afternoon. This is Elizabeth. How are you? Hi,
I'm
everyone.
good.
I have a question. I heard that there's some incentives coming up for down payment assistance. Some cities are already coming out with participation for the same program that will help buyers finance. I'm aware that there's a city already having that program with down payment assistance, and that's Long Beach. And I'm also aware that Rancho Cucamonga is coming up with also an incentive. So that's a great thing to promote, during this time. I'm aware that during the beginning of the next year, there will be some changes, but what I'm saying is that, if you have any updates on that, I would like to participate. We helped many people before during the programs with NHSIE and other programs within the city of Fontana. And so I'm interested in knowing if you're aware, so that, we can promote something within the office, do a buyer seminar, or do some sort of getting involved with the community so that we can get out there and, be at service.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would say to that is, it's working with clients and working with those particular clients. It's something that a realtor really has to have a passion for and a vision for, right? And I would also say that this is the perfect time for it, right? Because even though, let's say, 18 months ago, the city of Rancho Cucamonga was willing to, grant, right, down payment assistance plan, it didn't really matter because, let's just be real, 18 months ago, if you weren't going up 80 to 90 grand on your offer, right, and then removing every single contingency that there was, right, you're not getting your offer accepted, right, and let alone they're not going to accept your offer if it's a down payment assistance. But the market has shifted, and just like I said earlier, it's a great way to get these new buyers into this market, even though the interest rate's higher. But you got to look at it like, when the interest rate was low, you weren't going to get in anyways. So this is your chance, this is your opportunity. And what I would say is focus on the areas that you do want to work on. I know there's restrictions and income qualifications as well, so it's not going to fit everybody. So you got to figure out what exactly your client looks like, right, and then market to that particular area. Yeah, so that's what I would do. As far as Rancho Cucamonga, we keep our community, for us, we try to stay on top of that. So we'll definitely pass those things out to you. But there's already all kinds of different programs. I feel like there will be more programs coming out here in the next couple of years to come, where they do help out these first-time buyers and down payment assistance, things like that. But look out for that. You should be able to figure out what your market is and figure out what cities are making those available.
Just one more comment. We're talking about 100,000. Mm-hmm. So that makes a difference,
absolutely.
When that's being provided, it's a better chance to have, a lower mortgage on a house. Let's say
Correct.
100,000 home, but then 100,000 off, it will be financing less. I saw what I believe is Connie Hernandez. Mm-hmm. Hi there, Connie. I saw your mortgage payments here for 600,000 and then 5% down payment at a 2.3 interest. Where are you coming up with that interest rate? Is it adjustable? What is it?
Connie, if you're still on the class, maybe you can. I'm going to go back to the comments because I have my comments off. Is she still on?
Or you mean Karina?
Oh, yes, sorry.
No, you're good. I was like, so pretty much, you're okay. What I used is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this mortgage calculator here. So the interest rate that I put on there was just a fixed interest rate. I just did the very basics of like property taxes, insurance. I added the mortgage insurance. I just did a 5% down, 30-year term. And I just played with that interest rate here. And then I hit the price and it'll give me the monthly payments on here as well.
Yeah, I think we were going back on, I think I had asked you a question, right? Because we were doing comparisons on what it was.
Yeah, the payments from 600 compared to like 400 now.
Yeah. So what was the difference, if you don't mind me asking, because I didn't get a chance?
Of course. So if you're buying, well, back in the day, if you were doing like 600,000, 5% down, and if you had, of course, really good interest rate or really good credit at 2.3% interest rate, your payment was roughly about 3,300.
Okay.
Which is pretty similar to now the 400,000 purchase price. Same thing, 5% down, but now the 6.7% interest rate, your payments are now 3,200.
Yeah. So there you go. So that was the difference that I was telling you. Even though the interest rates obviously not a lot higher, but prices are starting to come down. Even though we don't see it, but I was basically saying we don't see it right now in the MLS, because I mentioned to you that there's a lot of fluff, right? There's about 40 to 60% of the properties that are still overpriced and they're going to continue to sit on the market, right? We don't see it yet, but it's coming. It's coming. Eventually, what's going to happen is we're going to get the real sellers and we're going to get the real buyers, and you'll start to see some of these prices get a correction, right? Because the 7% increase, that was the reason why they did it. Anyways, any other questions, guys? It can be anything regarding the class, or if you got a question regarding the transaction, I'm going to dedicate this time for you. So I'll stick around for a little bit longer as long as the questions are coming. If you guys are good with the class, then I will see you guys on the next one. All right. Thank you, Joe. Cool. All right. Going once, questions going twice. Thank you guys for coming and enjoying the class. Looking forward to what we got going on here. Just a couple of quick announcements. You guys are going to get an email here in the next maybe a week or so. We're going to be offering all our agents a direct deposit. So direct deposits are coming in to Dynasty. So you no longer have to get a physical check, either mailed to you, wired or mailed to you, or or you can pick them up. So we'll have an option where it just becomes a direct deposit. You will hit your bank account within 24 hours. So the way it will work is you will get a transaction net sheet for you with basically the breakdown, and then you will then see it go into your bank account within 24 hours after your file has been completed and has been checked off by our team over here. So excited for that. We want to make sure that we're moving forward and making things a lot easier for you, not only to get paid, but also to give you guys the right information on keeping your business moving. So excited for getting you guys that direct deposit into you guys' bank account and get you guys paid faster. Other than that, we're looking forward to 2023, guys. Thank you for your time. We'll see you guys for the next Zoom class. Take care, guys.